Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a puppy 101 video. Do you mind? Just some things that I think you should know about before getting a puppy. Stuff like finances, your daily routine changes, stuff like that. And just like a list of essentials that I think you should have before getting your puppy. So if that is something you're interested in, then just keep on watching. Missing someone. I've got a long-haired chihuahua called Ozzie and he is 4 months old at the minute. I got him on the 5th of December and it's now the 4th of February, so I've had him nearly 2 months now. He's 16 weeks. Okay, so one major thing that I'm going to talk about is how much your routine is going to change whenever you first get a puppy. I don't think a lot of people really think it through, and I was fortunate enough that lockdown kind of worked out in my favour in the sense that I've got to spend like pretty much every day with Ozzie. So luckily whenever I got him I had a full week just to spend with him. I had taken annual leave off work. Like I used up my work holidays just to give me some time because I knew I didn't want to be working like 8 hours a day knowing that he was sat at home. So luckily for the first week I got to spend it purely with him, and I went back to work again then for about a month. And then it was Christmas. So the first thing I will say is your daily routine is going to change a lot. Like no one tells you how much it's going to change it, but basically what you should expect whenever you get a puppy, the first night, well this is my experience with Ozzie anyway, so I let Ozzie sleep on the floor of my room in his bed. I really wanted to try and crate train him but I just didn't end up working out, so I got him like a crate and everything, but anytime I would close the door he would absolutely freak out and like it wasn't worth getting him all stressed and anxious. So he slept in like an open crate on my floor, but he didn't have access to the rest of my room, if that makes sense, and I just had 2 puppy pads set out in front of the crate then and a bowl of water obviously for him to get a drink. So on the first night then he went to sleep at about 11 and I'm pretty sure he woke up at about 1. And puppies will whimper so much during the night, like be prepared, they will cry and it will actually break your heart. Obviously like they're missing their mom as well because obviously they've been with their mom since birth and like their siblings, like the rest of their litter, so the first night they are going to miss their mom. So yeah, he went to sleep at about 11 I think, woke up at 1, and then I have a Snapchat of him saved from the first night he slept here. He woke up at 5 a.m, nearly 6 a.m, trying to play, like full on play mode, like they don't realise obviously what time it is. So yeah, that was the first night and it went like that for a good like week and a half, 2 weeks, like constantly waking up like 2-3 times a night and having to get up and either clean up his poo or pee off the puppy pad or else take him outside to go to the toilet. So that was like 3 times your sleep's getting broken. And see by the first the first 5 days actually I was wrecked. Like I was actually so buzzing when my mum took him into her room for a night and got a break from it. Like you love them so much but you don't realise like how little sleep you get, and as if that's not bad enough, like you're getting woken up like 3 times a night but then you have to wake up early to take them straight out to the toilet as well. You will be very very tired, so just prepare for that. So a major thing is if you can work from home, if you have a job that you're lucky enough to be able to work from home, I would highly encourage it because first of all you don't want to you can't leave them unsupervised at that age. Like I got Ozzie when he was 8 weeks old and that's kind of the usual sort of time people get their puppies. It's either 8 weeks or 10 weeks. So yeah, you can't leave them unattended whatsoever. You're gonna need to like completely puppy proof the house, like pick up anything that could be dangerous, anything sharp, like things that you probably wouldn't even think about really. Pretty much anything that you can think of lying on the floor, they will pick it up thinking it's a toy. So yeah, puppy proofing the place, and you're gonna need to watch them constantly. And you also need to get into your routine of when you're going to feed them and taking them out to the toilet because you need to take them out constantly. But yeah, like with my personal experience with Ozzie, he hasn't been left on his own yet, and obviously I've said he's 4 months. That is due to lockdown. I think like if things were normal and everyone was back at work he probably would have had to. We've got 3 other dogs and to be honest like they're quite temperamental, like they don't always get along and they have wee tiffs and they end up scrapping sometimes. We wouldn't really trust them together, so I would probably need to like leave Ozzie in a room on his own. A lot of people crate train their puppies to stay in like a cage or like a playpen all day, but for me personally I couldn't. Like see here I'm crying, it was awful, I just couldn't do it. You really need to think it out. Like if you have a full-time job where you're doing like 12-hour shifts a day, even 8-hour shifts a day, working 5 days a week, like you really need to think like if a puppy is really the right thing for you, because they will get really bad separation anxiety and they can't be left alone for long periods of time. So hopefully you have like someone at home that could look after them while you're at work. Like the way it worked with me was my mum, she was lucky, she works for my dad so she can kind of go into work whenever she wants, so she would have went into work on my days off, so there was always someone in the house to look after Ozzie. puppy, and even now like we just have to bring him out in the car and stuff with us if we're going anywhere. So the next thing then is toilet training, which is a process. We still haven't mastered it. It's just gonna take like a long time. Like all our older dogs still haven't mastered it. I know like a lot of breeds are better than others, so it just really depends on your puppy, but they need to be brought out to the toilet all the time. So what I was told was, as soon as they wake up, right before they go to bed, after they nap, after they eat, after they drink, after they play, pretty much anything, like you have to take them out pretty much every 20 minutes to try and get them into your routine. As they get older though, their bladders obviously will get a bit bigger and they'll be able to control it a bit more, but there'll be like quite a lot of accidents in the first few weeks, so you're going to need to be taking them out constantly. And if they have an accident on the floor, it's your fault for not taking them out. It's not actually the dog's fault. Like they don't know right from wrong. Like you have to remember, like they've only been in the world for like a few weeks or months. Like you actually expect so much from them, but they're actually just wee babies. Like they're just learning everything for the first time. Toilet training can be really frustrating, especially whenever you think that you've absolutely nailed it. Then the next day they'll have an accident and you feel like you're right back to square one, but you just need to be persistent with it, bringing them out for like regular toilet breaks and standing and watching them. Like one thing that you really need to do is you need to stand and watch them, because you want to see if they've went, because they could go outside and wander about. Like Ozzie does that sometimes. He goes out to the garden and does some zoomies and doesn't actually go to the toilet, and then he'll come in after and go on the puppy pad. So I was lucky enough with Ozzie that whenever we got him, he knew to go on the puppy pad, so we didn't really have many accidents on the floor. He's actually worse at it now than he was before. But yeah, like if you don't have access to like a garden or like an outside area for them, you can train them to use the puppy pads with the same sort of training. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is training. Like I've already touched on potty training and stuff like that, but I just mean like other sorts of training. Our older dogs, like from experience, my mum didn't realise like how much training puppies need from a very young age. Like you need to socialise your dog to people, other dogs, different situations, because you need to remember that everything's new to them, and everything, not everything, like it depends on the dog, but especially if you have a small dog, it's going to scare them. Like walking, like things that you kind of take for granted that you don't really think about, like meeting new people and stuff like that. Dogs will be absolutely petrified if they haven't been like used to that. So I know obviously it's harder at the minute because of lockdown, and especially with Ozzie I've struggled with it because you can't just do all the normal things that you usually would, but I've just been trying to bring him into contact with as many people as possible, like obviously within my family. I've been trying to take him on walks, get him used to the lead and stuff like that, because my older dogs, we've got 4 dogs, so Miley was fine because she was just walking on a lead as a puppy, like with her breeder. But Tia, who is our second youngest, she's 3. Tia didn't get walked as a puppy at all, and she will not walk now. Like you try and she'll just stop in her tracks. She's scared of cars going past, she's scared of other dogs. Like it's just not even worth bringing her out because she just doesn't enjoy it whatsoever. So one thing I will say is try and get your puppy as used to loads of different situations as possible. The one big thing for me, my auntie has a big Labrador and my other dogs are absolutely petrified of it. So the other day I was like, right, I'm gonna just like throw him in the deep end here and just get him used to other dogs. So brought him to my auntie's, and literally within 15 minutes he was just walking about beside this big Labrador. I'll insert a photo, it was actually so cute, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, like you just need to get them used to everything. Another thing is barking. So Ozzie, I feel like if Ozzie was living on his own, he wouldn't bark at all, but he kind of like feeds off the other dogs. Like if you live in like a multiple dog house, they will feed off each other and like copy each other. Like we've noticed that a lot. Like Ozzie will copy one of the older dogs like every single move, honestly. Like if she goes out for a pee, he'll go for a pee. Straight in for a drink, he'll go for a drink as well. Like it's actually really funny, but it's not so funny whenever they're picking up like the bad habits. So our dogs are really really bad for barking. Like if anyone walks past the house, they bark and bark and bark. And Tia especially, because she wasn't socialised with people as a puppy, like if anyone comes into our house, she will just stand and bark for a full hour if that's how long they're in our house. Like it's actually ridiculous. So barking you can kind of nip in the bud. Like there's a guy that I watch on YouTube, Zak George, and he has a book and everything on puppy training, and he just breaks it down into like simpler terms, and like it's just really good to see him like actually putting the methods into practice, if that makes sense. And he does it all on like all different dogs and breeds, so check his channel out if you want some like training tips and stuff like that. So you can train a dog not to bark. It is like an instinct for like warning you about danger and stuff like that, like that's fair enough. But barking at anyone going past the house or a bird or whatever, like a lot of dogs do it, but you can train them not to, so start them young. And the same with stuff like sit and like the basic commands like sit, paw, lie down, stuff like that. Like Ozzie learned how to sit within like the first couple of days. Like between, I think it's like 8 weeks to 6 months or something is like when their brain is the best for like absorbing knowledge. So treats will be your best friend. Like, you can train dogs to pretty much do anything if you've got a treat in your hand. Like, if you reward them with something, and using like positive reinforcement is definitely really important as well. Like, if they do something wrong, don't tell them they've done something wrong, like reward them when they do something right. Like, for example, if they're barking, don't shout at them, like don't give them attention for it. But as soon as they stop barking, if you give them a treat and say good boy, good girl, like it'll get into their head that if they stop barking, please ignore my nails, by the way. That's embarrassing. Haven't had them done since the week of Christmas, and I have gels and I have no acetone to take them off, and I've just been peeling them off, so yeah. But yeah, they will learn that like when they stop barking, they will get a treat. So use positive reinforcement is another thing I will say. And like along those lines as well, so puppy biting, Ozzie is still absolutely horrible. Like, he's really, really terrible biting. Like, I feel like I've tried everything. Like, there's loads of different methods that people tell you, like yelp whenever they do it, even start to like cry like a dog. Ozzie doesn't care. He literally just continues to grab onto my hand, and they're like, remove your hand slowly from their mouth. He is literally like clamped down, like full force, jaws closed on my hand, and he's actually caught me a couple of times. He doesn't mean it, like he's trying to play. That's one thing as well. Puppies are learning about the world, and the way they learn about the world is through their mouths, because obviously they don't have hands. And I saw in, I think it was Zak George's book the other day actually, you wouldn't shout at a toddler for touching different things with their hands. That's how they learn. So don't shout at a puppy for biting you. Like, it's actually good to encourage them to bite things, but once they bite too hard and stuff, that's whenever you can yelp and like try and distract them to do something else. So then the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is finances. So dogs are actually really, really expensive. Like, you really need to be like financially stable to be able to give a dog like a good life, and like even at that, there's things you need to take into account. So the first thing you need to think about is, it depends. Like, obviously if you're adopting a dog from a shelter, I don't think that costs anything at all, so that's fine. But if you're buying a dog, like at the minute, the cheapest you can get is about £1,000. Like, they're really expensive since lockdown. I don't know what it is, but they've just like shot up in price. So first of all, obviously you need to be able to afford to get the dog itself. The next thing you need to think about then is insurance. So you need to get dog insurance to cover your vet bills over a certain amount and stuff like that, or like if anything happens to your dog. There's like all different ones. I think we're with Tesco, all 4 of our dogs are on the same policy. So if you've got more than one dog, I would definitely recommend just like trying to add your new puppy onto it, because it can work out a lot cheaper. So yeah, there's insurance, there's a dog license that you'll need to get as well. It's not very much, it's like £12 a month or a year. And then also you need to think about vet bills, because it just really depends on your insurance policy. But mine, I think in the vet bill has to go up to like £70 or something before they will cover the cost of it. So things like their vaccinations and stuff like that, like I think it cost me like £30 just to get his vaccinations done, and you have to get them fleed and wormed like quite a lot, like whenever they're really young, but like the vet will go through all that with you. I don't really know the ins and outs, but I kind of just left them to it. But yeah, vet bills are expensive. Hopefully like throughout your dog's life you won't need to go to the vet very often, but just stuff like their vaccinations, their checkups, stuff like that, like it does cost money, and you need to remember that. Like, yes, we've got the NHS, but it's not like that for a dog, unfortunately. So yeah, vet bills. So it's important also to get your puppy like a good food. So Ozzie at the minute eats Royal Canin. So Royal Canin does like specific food, like dry food for all the different breeds of puppies. So Ozzie has the dry food of that, and he also has the wet food, and it's really, really important to give your dog like good quality food like when they're growing. We actually started him on pedigree puppy whenever we just got him, but it made his breath like really, really garlicky. It was actually really funny, but once we switched him over to the Royal Canin, then that sorted itself out. So it just really depends. Like, a lot of dogs I'm sure would be fine with like the pedigree puppy and like Tesco food and stuff like that, but it's really like personal preference. And I know a lot of puppies are very fussy as well, so you might need to try about 10 different foods before you find one that they'll actually eat. Dry food is recommended more than wet food. I do kind of like a mix of both, because you need a lot more of wet food for it to fill them. So he gets like treats and stuff throughout the day as well, so yeah, as long as you're not like overcompensating with treats and stuff, like you'll be fine. And you also need money for just luxuries, like just stuff like toys, coats, stuff like that. Just depends on the breed. I'd say like initially it costs a lot more money. Like once you've bought all the stuff, you're kind of set, just basics like the bed and stuff like that. But anytime you go to a pet shop, you're going to want to spoil them. Like, I haven't went into Pets at Home or Jollies or anywhere like that and not bought them about 10 things, even the range and stuff like that. Like, I just constantly see things, I want to buy them. I'm like, take my money, just take it. You'll be spending a lot of money on them because you'll just want to spoil them, and you won't be able to resist because everything's just so cute. Like, even just wee things like this, like that wee print, It was like a fiver, but by the time I got the frame and got it printed and everything, it's like 20 quid. And I'm like, and I just don't care. I'm like, just take my money, it's fine. So I'm gonna go through like a checklist of different things that I think are essential for getting a puppy, just things that get you started whenever you get them at 8 weeks. So the first thing, a lot of these things are going to be very obvious, but I'll just start here. So the first thing is a water bowl and a food bowl, multiple blankets I would say. So I got Ozzie 2 blankets to start off with, and the reason I'm saying multiple is because in the first few weeks he was peeing on them and just stuff like that, like they get dirty. So the good thing is, like, if you've got multiple ones, it means that while one's in the wash, you've got another one to give them. So yeah, just a couple. You can get wee cheap ones, so it doesn't have to be anything too expensive. So the next thing then is a comfy bed. So I got Ozzie one of the donut beds. It's called like an anti-anxiety pet bed or something. They're quite popular. Like if you type it into Google, like it'll just be the first thing that comes up, and he loves it because he can just snuggle right into it, and he's been sleeping in that since the first day that I got him. I just put that inside his wee crate and stuff, and he's loved it ever since. So yeah, really a good quality bed is definitely a good thing to get, because obviously like in the first few weeks it's going to be hard for them to get over to sleep. Next thing then is a carrier or a crate. So if you're wanting to crate train your dog, you can get them like a cage or a carrier. You're going to need a carrier. Well, you don't need it, but it's good to have one to bring them to the vets. I'll maybe do a video on everything that Ozzie has. Most of the stuff that I got Ozzie was off Amazon actually. Amazon's really good for dog supplies. It took a couple of tries to get like a crate that was actually the right size though. But yeah, I've got one now. So a crate, if you're wanting to crate train them, or like a wee puppy playpen, something like that, like if you want to keep them like separate from like the rest of your house. Puppy pads, it really depends. Like it is a good idea to have them in the first few weeks, definitely, just so they know not to go on the floor. But I know a lot of people say that it confuses the dog then. If you're trying to get them to go outside and the puppy pad, they'll just end up getting confused and going on the floor or something. So yeah, puppy pads, they are a lifesaver though, because they're just so easy to clean up, and yeah, they're just really good, and you can get big packs for quite cheap as well, which is good. The next thing then is a harness, a lead and a collar. So I would say if you're wanting to take your puppy out for walks, definitely get a harness. Like it's good to have a collar, and it's actually a legal requirement. If you're taking them out on walks, they need to have a collar with their address. I didn't actually know that until like a month ago when I was reading the back of one of Ozzie's harness packets. I was from Pets at Home and I didn't actually know that. So yeah, if you're taking them out for a walk, definitely put a collar on them with their ID on it. A good quality lead as well. I wouldn't say to get one of the retractable ones when they're young. Get like you can get like a 5-meter one, you can get quite long ones, but see, to be honest, like see with my older dogs, the retractable leads, the noise actually scares them, but T is just an absolute wuss, so that's probably why. So yeah, a lead, long story short, a lead, harness and a collar. Another thing is, depends when you're getting your dog obviously. We got Ozzie in December, so it's in the middle of winter in Northern Ireland at the minute, so it's absolutely freezing, and he has a chihuahua and he'll get like cold so easily. So a good quality coat or jumper, just something to keep them warm. If you have a smaller breed dog, definitely I would invest in getting like a good quality coat for them. Bigger dogs, it's not as big of an essential thing. So yeah, just depending on the breed, you might want to get them something to keep them warm. Good quality food, I've already touched on that. Treats and lots of toys. Honestly, these will be your best friend, especially to save your hands from cuts, from getting bitten, for training, for everything. So if your puppy's biting you, give them a toy, a good tug toy, and just something that keeps them occupied, because honestly they will be a pain in your arse. Like, you actually crave the moment for when they're either sleeping or occupying themselves with one of their toys. It's honestly like having a newborn baby. Like, no one warned you about it. I think they're actually worse than a newborn baby because they can run about, whereas a baby can't move. You're having to like constantly watch them. Yeah, lots of toys, like good chew toys, definitely. Kong do like a really good thing. It's like this wee rubber thing, it's called a Kong, and you put a treat in it, or you can get like flavoured paste and it just leaves them chewing for ages. You can get puppy chews and stuff like that, just stuff that helps them like while they're teething. Ozzie hasn't actually lost any teeth yet and he's 4 months, but I think they can lose teeth anywhere between like 3 months to 6 months, so it's just like anywhere between that, and they will be biting you and biting everything and shredding everything constantly, so just be prepared for that. And yeah, like there's just the extras. Like, I'm honestly such an extra dog mom. Like, before I got Ozzie, I got him like personalised blankets, personalised bowl, milestone cards. So like, I think this is actually a really good idea. Like, the wee milestone cards are really cute. It's like, my first walk, I learned to sit today, I came to my forever home today, whatever, and you write the date on it and you get a photo of them with it, and it's just like nice to create wee memories, because you forget how small they are. And that's one thing that we've noticed with like our older dogs, like you don't realise how small they are at the time, and they grow so quickly, so it's nice just to like have those photos to remember those moments, because they grow up so quick. Like, sounds so cliche, but they actually do. Like, I cannot believe how small Ozzie was when I first got him. He was literally the size of my hand, and No, he's just really lanky. Still so cute though. And then another thing, again, just really dependent on the breed, but if you have a small dog it might be a good idea, a bell for their collar, because you'll notice if you've got a really tiny puppy, you stand on them so easily, like you don't actually realise they're there, or you could sit on them or something like that. It's just good to have a bell just so you know that they're there. Or if you lose them, which I lose Ozzie all the time because he goes in behind the sofa, he goes outside, it's just good to have a wee bell, or like even just like the clinking of the wee tag on their collar, just something that creates a noise. It's just like good to have in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Like I hope I haven't forgotten anything. It's really hard to remember everything and I feel like I've been talking for absolute ages. But if anyone wants to see a video on the stuff that Ozzie has, like just stuff like his bed, his carriers, stuff like that, I can do a video on that and link everything below if you think that would be useful. Ozzie has an Instagram page and I've had a lot of people like asking where I got like certain things, so it might actually be a good idea to do a video on that. But yeah, Ozzie's Instagram is at Ozzie the Chi, by the way, if anyone wants to follow him. That's him up there. I constantly post on it about 100 times a day. Like I actually spent my life on his Instagram instead of my own. He's just consumed my whole life, but I love him, so it's fine. If anyone's wondering where my hoodie's from, by the way, it's from a brand called Boal Couture? I don't know. But I got it in the post today. And I was actually obsessed with the packaging. I will put their name here just so you know what I'm actually saying because I can't pronounce anything. Just says on it, puppy licks on faces and dog walks in nature, pitch cuddles in bed and Instagram pages, dog obsessed parcels that the postman brings. These are a few of my favourite things. And there's a wee sticker that just says, shop small biz, thank you friend. And just such cute packaging. It says strike a pose, boop a nose. I don't know, just the wee touches like that I thought were really, really cute, and just like the pink paper and everything. So I got this hoodie, just says dog mama on it. They do like loads of good like pet themed things though. They've got like things for specific breeds and all as well. I honestly wish I wasn't furloughed right now, otherwise I would have been buying absolutely everything off that website. Like it's not even funny. I got a t-shirt and it just says on it, obsessed with my dog's Insta account. And that has me down to a T. I got that in an extra small and my hoodie I think was in a small. So yeah, go give them a follow on Instagram if you are a crazy dog lady like me. They've also got a sweatshirt that says extra AF dog mum, and that is me. That is honestly me. Like I'm the dog version of crazy cat lady. Crazy dog lady. Oh wee baby. Once he gets in his hyper mood though, like he won't let me hold him. And he's in his hyper mood like right now. Ozzie became a brand rep today for Daisy's Deluxe dogs, and he did a little ad today and it was literally the cutest thing ever. So yeah, if you want to follow this wee man's Instagram, it's at Ozzie the Chi. Excuse me! Oh, wriggliest dog ever. But yeah, I hope, oh, okay. Biting Ozzie! Reality of having a puppy. This right here. Right, you're going on the floor. Stop being a wee shit. Oh! So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it semi-informative and useful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!